So Aline, I'm really happy to be here with you today and get to talk about peer learning versus mentorship because I think they're both really valuable, but they're actually quite different. And so when I think about peer learning, I think about conversations I've had that have really unlocked things for me, whether it's a professional development of, oh, should I take this next step? Should I do this? What about that? Or someone who has knowledge that I don't have, and they just share this tidbit, and suddenly, like, everything looks so different because I now understand so much more. That was the missing link for me in trying to piece together what I was working on. And so peer learning is about looking for that knowledge exchange with everyone you work with and meet, related to your field or tangential to your field. It's not just about finding someone more senior to you in years or experience, right? And I really want to highlight that because a lot of us transition our careers, and so we might be looking for guidance or even mentoring formally with someone who may age-wise be younger than us, but has more experience in the field that we're starting to work in. But peer learning is just a lot more informal, and it's sort of about a range of those discussions. But I was hoping, Aline, that you could talk a little bit more about the upcoming mentorship program and how you see that as being really valuable.
Fantastic. I think if you have been following the Career Days, you know we have been talking about the mentorship program that is opening next week. So RWSN has been running the mentorship program for nearly 6 years now. And last year we collaborated with Agenda for Change. And this year we will launch it even bigger and better. So from next week, we are opening 300 spots of mentorship program. It's completely free. It's completely virtual. And all you need to do is sign up on the link that will be shared shortly to show your interest. And then next week, please do take care of filling out your information on the platform very carefully, because this will allow us to make better matches between you and your mentor. And then I wanted to take back to you, Kathryn. We talk about peer learning, we talk about mentorship. What is the difference between mentorship and peer learning?
So I think that the quickest answer is that mentorship is always formal, right? You've sort of been assigned a mentor, and there might be a set time period. It might be a set amount of time that you meet. It might be a bit more flexible, right? This is your mentor with your organization. You're supposed to meet with them at least 3 times a year and check in, that kind of thing. Now, some people do have mentors that they founded. That's a sort of a more personal and organic relationship. But when we talk about peer learning, it can be both formal and informal. So it could be things like a community of practice, another, formally engaging with groups, or it could be professional development or related to a work issue. A lot of times when we think about mentoring, we focus purely on the professional development aspect. How am I going to advance my career? What am I going to be working on? And finding someone who can help us determine what our answers are, right? The mentor's not going to have the answer. And the same with peer learning. But it's not about a single long sustained relationship. It's about a network. It's about reaching out and talking to people, and very informally. And they could be near peer, they can be younger in experience, they might have different experiences, they might be working or having lived in a country that you're about to go work in. But it really can be so valuable to have these conversations. And yet so often we don't think about them, and we just say, oh, I need a mentor. That's the only way I'm going to move forward. And so the community of Women in Water really likes to host these peer learning events because we think there's so much value in connecting with everyone. And we think that, you can start off with an informal chat in a peer learning, and that can build into a long-term or a more formal thing as well, and be very organic and therefore in some ways very sustainable.
Okay, fantastic. And I actually think you talked about mentorship being a little bit more formal. Maybe I just wanted to make a caveat. You can have also a bit of informal mentoring or shorter term mentoring. but I've noticed a lot of women have a challenge of seeing themselves as a mentor. They think they need to have like 20 years experience, 15 years experience to be able to mentor someone else. So I wanted to just mention here that you, with the experience that you have, you're probably already able to give insights to someone that is like 2 or 3 steps behind of you. So for instance, I've done my master's degree or my BSc degree. I've already started working. I have 2, 3 years of experience of working. I might have much better tools to explain to someone that is just getting out of university now, how did I go about navigating, how did I find my work breaks, how did I find my opportunities? Whereas someone that finished his degree or her degree 20 years ago might not be so familiar with the opportunities that we have nowadays. So do you want to explain a little bit more on this,
Yeah,
how
I think it
helpful?
can work both ways. I was actually part of a conversation around work yesterday outside of Career Day, ironically. Everyone's talking about careers this week. And it was very interesting because the woman I was holding the conversation, similar to what we're doing now with, is probably 20 years my senior, maybe more. And we had completely different experiences of maternity leave because, of course, in the 80s and 90s, very few women in a lot of countries took it. It didn't look the same. Like there was a very different feel compared to what maternity is like in a lot of countries now. It's different in every country, but it is much more normalized than it was 40 years ago. And so that is an example of one, you're going to get the best advice from someone who's a bit closer to you. The other example I would use is that a lot of times it's really helpful to talk to someone, as you said, who's just finishing a program, maybe even someone who is a PhD student, if you are interested in going back. So maybe you're in your late 30s, maybe you're in your mid 40s, and you're thinking, I never went and got my PhD, but now to get the job I really want, I've realized I have to have this degree, even though I've got all this experience. That doesn't always happen, but let's just say it does. You're going to want to talk to somebody who's in the middle of that program because it has been so long since you
Mhm.
applied and the application criteria, the process. Do I need to talk to these people informally? Is it all just through the formal process? What does this look like? What should I expect? What are you seeing as the cost in addition to the tuition that I need to consider so that I can make the right financial choice? Like all of those, that's mentoring, right? Giving that space back. So I would echo Aline and say, please, if you're thinking about being a mentee, sign up to be a mentor. We've both been mentors through this program. We're both signed up to do it again this year. It's a wonderful experience, but you learn so much as a
Mhm.
mentor. And I think that sometimes people don't realize this is such a two-way street.